Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Hilal's live coverage of the 15th annual BRICS Summit that is coming to you from the Santon Convention Center. Now, Africa is looking to expand its representation within the BRICS nations, and of course, that of West Africa. Joining me now from For You Africa, they are based in Cameroon. I'd like to welcome Sharon Njix. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us here on Hilal TV.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Sharon, let's talk about uh, Cameroon. Of course, they're one of the countries that would like to make an appearance in BRICS. For the viewers out there that are not maybe familiar with Cameroon in terms of economics,
Yeah.
you come from Douala, which is the economic hub
Economic
of
capital.
the of Cameroon. What could Cameroon contribute towards BRICS?
Like every country across the African continent, I believe countries have what they can offer, and Cameroon is at the heart of Central
Mm,
Africa. We have borders like Nigeria, the Central African Republic, and you
mm,
name it.
mm,
All these are countries through which being a member of the BRICS group, like you've noticed, we have other countries that are vying to join the BRICS group of nations.
mm,
But I am of the opinion that Cameroon has a lot to
mm,
offer. And if it's given the opportunity to equally join the bloc,
mm.
then it is going to is going to actually act like a hub for economic activities, given the borders, the countries in which it borders with, yes, on the global economics sector.
Sharon, West Africa right now, there's a lot of conflicts that is happening.
Yeah,
I want
that's
to
true.
talk about what's currently happening in Niger at the
Hmm.
moment. We just heard that the military government or the junta is going to try Mohamed Bazoum. ECOWAS is, of course, stepping in from a military intervention. How important is whatever ECOWAS does right now, done not only the peaceful transition, but also treading the line of making sure that they do not disturb any sort of stability within West Africa?
Okay, I like you earlier mentioned, I'm from Cameroon.
Mm,
Cameroon is the central part of the African
yes.
continent, but nonetheless, we've been following the updates of
Mm,
what's taking place in
mm,
Niger, precisely in West Africa. And I must highlight that no country is happy to witness a coup.
yes.
But nonetheless, every country strives for development. Now we are here at the BRICS Summit, which is an economic summit
Mm,
because it brings together members and heads of state and government from different nations
mm,
across the world. Now, this summit, with regards to what is happening, the ECOWAS
mm,
will reiterate that some time ago the ECOWAS had given a deadline to the
yes.
leaders that actually took over power in Niger, but
Mm,
nonetheless we are looking forward to stability returning
mm,
to the country, given that it is a landlocked country with other nations
mm,
like Burkina Faso, Mali,
yes.
yeah, and you name it. So we just look forward to stability returning to the West African country.
Sharon, when we speak of West Africa, cocoa, oil, timber, so much more that West Africa can help contribute. If Cameroon joins, let's just say, and Nigeria decides to join BRICS, of course, this is also subject to whether the five nations agree from economic and, of course, bilateral terms that these are the countries that would like to join. Is ECOWAS, as a West African bloc, can they bring a sense of strength to BRICS and really make it a power within the global south?
Definitely, definitely, I must agree with you because ECOWAS, especially now that the current chair
Mm,
is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria,
yes.
Nigeria stands to be the most populous nation
Mm,
in the African
mm,
continent. Now, aside from that, it is an economic hub.
mm,
Now, with relation to the BRICS,
mm,
ECOWAS has countries within the West African
mm,
region, countries that stand
mm,
to ensure that the African continent, especially the region,
mm,
it strives in terms of economy.
yes.
Now, looking at Nigeria, where it is the heart of
Mm,
economics
yes.
across the African continent, what do you really think that is going to actually mean? It means a lot because given its population, other countries
Mm,
like we have Brazil, we have Russia, India, China,
mm,
if they have to partner with Nigeria, they have to partner with the ECOWAS countries, member countries,
mm,
then definitely it's going to lead to an exponential growth in
mm,
terms of the continent's economy.
mm. Sharon, the South and the West, obviously
Yes.
during apartheid, shared a very strong relationship because many of the West African countries took into exile the struggle stalwarts. Fast forward to the modern day. In your view, what are the thoughts of your fellow Cameroonians, your fellow West Africans, with regards to the South, and specifically South Africa? Do they still feel that South Africa, has a place for West Africa, and does West Africa still feel they have a place for South Africa in terms of bilateral ties and also economics?
I am currently in South Africa, and being a journalist and observing what's taking place on ground, I definitely think that South Africa seems welcoming to the outside world, especially those from the central part or the
Yes.
western part of the African continent. I have this opinion that the African continent is one, irrespective of our gender, irrespective of our race, irrespective of our cultures. We stand to be one united continent. And even the leaders here, they kept reiterating that the African continent, it is very, very much, it has a lot of potentials. And now we are in a continent that they say is filled with resources. Now looking at if you take for instance Cameroon, I'll tell you that a foreigner or any other person, be it from South Africa, be it from Nigeria, or be it from Ghana or wherever they come to Cameroon, they always feel at home. Because you never know that this person is not from this country. It depends on how we collaborate. Now, in terms of a bilateral cooperation, in terms of economic growth, I think that all countries have to merge,
Yes.
stand as one, because the African continent President Cyril Ramaphosa highlighted the the South African country has been advocating for the interests of Africa,
Yes.
and now we are currently at a summit where we have African leaders together. We have African heads of state and government. We equally have participants coming from a wider. They have different countries they're coming from, right? So imagine this melting point. It stands to beef the economic sector. So we're going to have exchanges like we're doing right now, and going to have a lot of collaboration, be it in terms of bilateral cooperation or in terms of economic growth. So this is a platform that is definitely going to assist the African continent in growing.
One final question, Sharon. The Africa Free Trade Agreement. How, in your view, in the view of many of the people of Cameroon and West Africa, is it something that is still viable? And if so, what more can be done to improve it?
The African continental free trade area is very much, I would say, it might be beneficial to the African continent, but nonetheless, we still have restrictions, we still have boundaries, we still
Yes.
have stuffs that are hindering this free trade in which we are actually dreaming of. Now, what are these boundaries? We still have problems of roads across the African continent. We still not have the African passport
Yes.
that could assist countries in growing, because we cannot talk of trade if we have this border crisis, we have these limitations from one country to the other. So I think as leaders are here, they should try to look into that and then see what solutions, like the leaders highlighted yesterday, the business leaders or those participating at the summit should be able to find solutions to the challenges that are facing the African continent and the globe at large. So we look forward to them coming out of the retreat you're having to come up with better solutions that is going to benefit the African continent and the globe.
Sharon, we'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. Merci beaucoup. And we hope to see what comes out of this, resolution, and whether there will be, if not one West African nation, but maybe two or three that
Yeah.
will be able to make their appearance in BRICS. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. That is Sharon Njix. She's from For You Africa. It's a television channel based out in the West African region. Do stay tuned to Hilaal TV as I continue to bring you coverage of the 50th annual BRICS Summit.